Hello everyone, Taylor of Rejuve Medical Fitness here. Today I'll be showing you 4 lower body exercises that you can do at home with little to no equipment. And in fact, the only thing for equipment that we will need is a backpack, which I've filled with some moderately heavy objects, and this is going to provide you with some resistance for these techniques if you do want more challenge. Let's get right into the first technique, which is going to be a side leg raise. So, to show you this in the air to begin with, hands are on the hips, body's up tall, just simply lifting the leg to the side, holding for a second, bringing it back in. Check that your toes point forward and they do not point outwards like that. We want to work the muscles on the sides of our hips here. So you should be able to feel the muscles right in the side, just below and beside the hip bones. Perfect. And make sure you do that little hold for a second, just so you can really feel the muscles working. We're not rushing through this too much. Check that you don't lean at all. Check that you don't hike the hips. Just a nice little raise to feel the muscles working. And if you do have troubles with balance, you could definitely hold onto something like your kitchen countertop to do this technique. And if you do want something tougher than that, you can take your backpack, and now when you lift the leg to the side, you have some resistance. So this should be quite a bit more difficult. You should feel the muscles working in the hips quite a bit more. Of course, once we finish that one side, we would also work the other side. Exact same thing. Check that your toes point forward, holding out for a second, not going too far, not going too fast. Just a couple more here. Feel free to add more weight into the backpack if you need more challenge as well. Perfect, that's the first technique for our hip muscles, the glute medius inside of the hip, an important muscle for hip stability. Now we're moving on to the squat technique next. So in the air to begin with, you have your feet about shoulder width, toes pointing a little bit out. You are keeping your body up tall as you drop back through the hips and then bend through the knees, going into your squat. Just going as low as you feel comfortable with, drawing back through the hips, holding at the bottom for a second, and then back up tall. Making sure the hips draw back first, taking a breath in, holding, breath out, draw the hips forward. Nice and simple, 1 and 2. For something a little easier, you can hold on to your kitchen countertop, and this is going to provide you with a little more support as you go into your squat. So if you do have problems with balance, or maybe you're having trouble getting low into that squat, this should help you with that. If you want the more challenging versions, you could wear your backpack, and you could just work on that squat with the backpack. Okay, just simply same technique as we were doing previously. Nice and slow, nice and controlled, holding at the bottom. And this other version here could be a little more difficult for you as well, taking that backpack and holding it in front. So this is more of a front squat here. So same thing, dropping back through the hips, driving the hips forward. This version is going to require a little more core stability. You're going to be more tempted to kind of lean forward as you do this. So make sure you take that breath in, you tighten your core, and then keep your body upright as you come back up. So that is our squat, a nice technique for our quads and pretty much all the muscles of our legs, really. Okay, moving on to the next one, we're going to do a frog deadlift, okay? So this may look a little similar to the squat, but there is some different technique differences. So for this one, just in the air to begin with, you're going to have your feet a little wider than you did for the squat. Your toes are pointing a little more out. You're going to drop the hands towards the floor, really trying to hinge through the hips. So I'm leaning forward a little more, pushing a little further back through the hips this time. And I'm attempting to go all the way down to the floor, keeping a flat or straight back. Okay, depending on your flexibility, some of you may only get to your knees. Some of you may be able to get to the shins. Some of you may be able to touch the floor. It's all going to depend on how far you can go before your back rounds. We don't want to see that kind of rounding motion there. We want the hips to go back. We want the back to stay flat. Go as low as you can before you start to round. If you do notice that is happening, coming back up. So everyone's kind of hamstring flexibility is going to be a little different with this. Technique is going to be very important. If you want something a little tougher, you can use your backpack once again, and you can lift that. Arms are staying nice and straight, just simply sitting back through the hips, resting the backpack on the ground, and then extending through your glutes and hamstrings, so the backs of the thighs and the butt. Those are the main muscles that are helping with this one. All the way down, all the way back up. Breathing in, breathing out. Nice controlled movement, really trying to squeeze through the glutes on the way back up. So that is your frog deadlift, another great move as long as you keep your back flat and you're not rounding over. And then moving on to the last technique, it's going to be a glute bridge. So you're going to be on the floor and you are nice and flat on the ground, hands by the side, heels are pulled in close. This is going to be a nice glute exercise. We're really activating those glute muscles as the hips drive up. Hold for a full second, lowering down with control. So we breathe out, tighten our core, we hold, and we slowly release. For those of you guys that have problems with low back pain, this is a great exercise for that. It teaches us how to use our glutes without using the low back at all. So you should feel this almost entirely in the hips. Okay, so just breathing out, getting that nice hold. Try not to overarch too much, just enough to feel those glutes activating strongly. If you do want a little more challenge, you can take your backpack, placing it on the thighs and the hips, and now we're driving up against the resistance from that backpack and then back down. Breathing out, feel the glutes work, breathing in. And you can definitely adjust the weight in the backpack to make this a little tougher for yourself, but nice and simple with this technique. Take your time, make sure the muscles are working, and perfect. So there you have it. You have 4 different techniques there that you can do at home with minimal to no equipment, and some different variations there depending on your fitness level. So if you wanted to make this into a workout, you can do this as a circuit. So you can go to the first technique, you can do it for 40 seconds, doing as many reps as you can at a moderate speed, and then taking a 20-second rest. Then you move on to the next technique, 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. Once you've finished all 4 of your techniques, you can repeat that circuit maybe another time, maybe another 2 times, or 3 times, depending on how much energy you have and how much you really want to challenge your muscles. So I hope you enjoyed those lower body exercises, and I hope to see you in the next video very soon.